2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome in. It is a Friday, your favorite day of the entire week. That's a good sign, I'd say. We finally made it. You finally made it. Welcome in, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, how you may be watching or listening. Thanks. We appreciate it very much. We love having you along for the ride. We've had a crazy week this week. It's been crazy. I guess we've had a really crazy year, but really a crazy week. We have Nancy Pelosi trying to invoke the 25th Amendment. Totally called that one. We saw that early on this week. We have 6.5 million mail-in ballots already come in. 6.5 million. That's crazy, as we are still like 3 weeks away from election time. So we'll get into all that and more here on the show today. It's a Friday, so we'll try and keep it somewhat lighthearted. But at the same time, there's a lot of crazy things going on, and I think we need to talk about some crazy stuff, which is what we do. Welcome in, broadcasting live all over Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, plus radio, TV, podcasting, live streaming on Podbean, also on the website at HooserReason.com. Make sure to visit us there, sign up for the newsletter, watch the live streaming, check out the podcast, all that good jazz as well. I'm excited. Let's get right into our guest. I know we have limited time with this guy, and I'm really honored to have him on the program. As we continue to talk about election season, we talk about the latest and greatest going into and the accusations that fly around and what's going on with President Trump with the inner circle. The inner circle of Trump's administration working to, quote unquote, make America great again. Is it right? Is that what he does? Most of us think so, and we see the results of that each and every day. So I'm excited to bring on somebody who knows a little bit about that inner circle and what's going on. He is the author of the book, Nothing to Lose, Unlikely Allies in the Struggle for a Better Black America. It is Pastor Darryll Scott hanging out with us here. Pastor Scott, how are you, my friend?
Great. How about yourself?
I am living the dream. I really appreciate you coming on the show. It is so dire to understand what's really going on in the Trump administration right now, especially going into election season, because my question is, we hear all of these accusations all the time about how terrible President Donald Trump is. He's a Nazi, he's a fascist, he's a racist, he's a xenophobe, he's a whatever else you want to call him. But yet we talk to just about every public leader or anybody within the circle, and we get an entirely different story, don't we?
Yes, we do. I mean, that's simply political talk, and it's unfortunate that they're targeting this president like this. It seems as if the left-wing media has become the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. They remind me of Joseph Goebbels with the Nazi Party, to be quite honest. I mean, it's been a 4-year-long smear campaign against this one guy. I don't understand how he's able to weather that storm and how resilient he is. But he's totally unlike the depiction that the media tries to give of him. Mm-hmm. They take whatever words that he says and they mischaracterize them, or they spin them, or they delete them, or they omit them, or they do whatever they can to twist them to try to create this image of him to the American public that is totally untrue. And it's sad.
It is. It's very sad. I've never seen a smear campaign like this before. I mean, I remember back in the day with George W. Bush where they called him a Nazi and, you know, the Texas lost its village idiot and all this other stuff that they said against George W. But now they love George W. compared to what they say about Donald Trump. Let's talk about his faith for a second. And I know, I mean, being a spiritual advisor to President Donald Trump and talking with him about his faith, one of the big concerns that the quote-unquote conservative Christian right was concerned about when he first got elected in 2020 was that he did a couple interviews. He didn't know how to any verses of the Bible, one of his favorite quotes and one of his favorite verses. And that got a lot of heat back then. I remember those, again, smear ads. But it looks like from what I've been able to see and observe is that he's really evolved over the last couple of years. And I think faith is a big part of his life, is it not?
Yes. And you know what? His biblical literacy, so to speak, is on par with a number of other Christians that go to church every week, and they're not students of the Bible. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, the criticisms that he was receiving, to me, could have been levied against any number of people on any given Sunday in anybody's church. Let me tell you something. I've got people that have been going to my church over 20 years that still struggle in the same areas that they struggled in 20 years ago, that still have the same habits and failures that they're asking God to help them with, that still don't read the Bible much. It's like the only Bible they get is what they get from me when they come to church. But when they go home, they're not reading it. They can't quote a lot. That's common. Mm. That's not uncommon. And to be quite honest, I've been pastoring my church for 26 years. I've been a Christian for 38 years. I don't have a favorite verse of Scripture.
Sure.
So if somebody asked me what was my favorite passage of Scripture, I would have to give it some thought. And I would have to reply, I really don't have a favorite one. I mean, I love all of the ones that I've written, and I can quote a great number of them to you. But if I had to take one Scripture and say, well, this is my favorite Scripture, I wouldn't be able to, honestly wouldn't be able to do so because I don't have one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, then once again, they're trying to hold Donald Trump to an unfair standard of Christianity that they don't hold other practicing Christians to.
Sure. Well, of course not. Of course. And I mean, that was the smear ad from all the way at the very beginning to try and catch him up on, we got you. You're not really a Christian. But at the end of the day, it seems like actions speak louder than words. And he's been by far the most pro-life president that I think we've ever seen in this nation. He talks about Christian values. He talks about religious liberties day in and day out. And at the end of the day, those actions speak way louder than him not being able to remember a verse.
Yeah, he's been the most pro-church, pro-Christianity president. He's not, I'll tell you one thing he's not ashamed to do. He's not ashamed to get in front of those cameras and extol the virtues of Christianity and say that the Christian church should have their liberties. He's got a lot more boldness regarding church and the Christian church than a lot of Christians do.
Yeah, well, that's very true. We're talking with Pastor Darryll Scott. He is a spiritual advisor to President Donald Trump, also author of the book Nothing to Lose, Unlikely Allies in the Struggle for a Better Black America. Let's talk about the African American community for a second. We saw after the Republican National Convention, we saw a massive bump of support from the black community to President Donald Trump. Right now, the polls show that that community is actually higher in support of the Republican and President Donald Trump than what the Republican Party has seen in a very long time. Democrats are losing it left and right. Why do you think that is? Is it the 4-year record that President Trump has had over the last couple of years? Is it because of the derogatory remarks from Joe Biden? I mean, is the black community recognizing these things? And do you think that they're overall going to start moving towards President Donald Trump in this election?
Well, I mean, there's a scripture in the Bible that says in a nutshell, if you can't believe someone for the words that they speak, believe in them for the works that they've done. And he has undeniable work and initiatives and activity favorable towards the black community in the last 4 years. He basically underpromised and overperformed. And so when you look at criminal justice reform and prison reform, creation of opportunity zones, historic levels of funding for HBCUs, an aggressive urban revitalization agenda, when you look at the ceremonial initiatives that he's engaged in, such as designated Martin Luther King Jr.'s childhood home as a national landmark, pardoning the first black heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson. When you look at the different people and from the African-American community that have been granted clemency, when you see the platinum plan that he just rolled out, that's talking about 3 million new jobs, 500,000 new businesses, $500 billion in access to capital for blacks over the next 4 years, designating Juneteenth as a national holiday. And the fact that Donald Trump is, if anybody, he's the one president in my lifetime that has endeavored to fulfill his campaign promises. He's given the black community a sense of optimism in that they're saying, hey, man, look, if this guy has if he says he's going to do something, he's doing it. Mm-hmm. And he's done so much for us, we have no reason to believe he's going to stop. And this platinum plan is very aggressive. It's the most comprehensive plan for African Americans, black Americans in American history. And there's no reason to believe that he won't fulfill that promise. And so, we have to look at it and say, hey, it's undeniable what he has done. He's proven himself. And it's also undeniable Joe Biden's track record. Over 47 years of antagonism and hostility towards the black community. So, to me, it's an easy choice.
Well, it is an easy choice. I mean, I just remember, a year or two ago, he was sitting around a round table at the White House with religious leaders and political leaders and community leaders from black communities in inner cities and places that have been struggling for so long. And he's sitting there listening to every single one of them. And then we come out with some of the biggest reforms that we've seen in a long time. And I've always been curious. I mean, is it resonating? Are people waking up and seeing this? Because right now, all we hear in the news is the Black Lives Matter movement and the unrest and the civil unrest, and that we're going to continue it on if President Trump continues to stay in office. And to some that may not understand what's really going on, it sounds like it's not resonating in some communities, but we're hoping it does because we need to reach out.
It's resonating. Believe me, it's resonating. The man on the street is not resonating in the left-wing media. Mm. And the left-wing media wants to downplay the fact of its resonance. I talked to a bishop of a church. He has a large organization, and I was telling him about the Platinum Plan. And he said, well, I didn't hear about it. Why haven't I heard about it? Yeah. And I asked him, where do you get your information from? I said, because what's horrible is the president went down to Atlanta and made a speech announcing the most, once again, comprehensive plan for black Americans in American history. And CNN refused to cover the speech. And MSNBC refused to cover the speech because they did not want him to get any positive press in the black community. And so, I talked to another gentleman that's an HBCU graduate, an HBCU alumni. Both his children go to HBCUs. When I told him about the historic funding that President Trump had given to HBCUs, he knew absolutely nothing about it. I had to Google it and show it to him. And he was flabbergasted. Why don't I know about this? Why don't I know that President Trump granted HBCUs $2.5 billion over the next 10 years? I asked him again, where do you get your information from? Yeah. The left has a massive misinformation campaign out against Donald Trump regarding the black community, and the athletes and celebrities and entertainers are running with it and helping spread that misinformation. And it's a shame because if you keep people ignorant, if you keep them in the dark, you keep them ignorant, you keep them under control, and you keep them voting your way. Yeah. And the left-wing media, far from caring about the black community, they don't care. They just want to keep us ignorant and uninformed as to the positive initiatives and accomplishments of this administration.
Yeah, it's all about power and control and trying to demonize those that actually try and help certain communities. We got about a minute left before we have to let you go, Pastor Darryll Scott, but let's talk about the difference between the Trump administration and what we saw 8 years prior to that with Barack Obama's administration, because being the first black president, everybody was excited that that was going to help the black community. Is that what really did it, or are we seeing kind of a night and day difference between the Obama administration and the Trump administration?
A night and day difference because the Obama administration did not do anything exclusively for for the black community. In fact, whenever I engage in an argument or a debate, I always win with that question. Name one thing. One thing that Barack Obama did exclusively for blacks? Name one. I said, I don't want 2, I don't want 3, I don't want 5, I don't want 10. Because I can rattle off the top of my head 5 or 6 things President Trump. Name me one thing Barack Obama did exclusively for the black community, and they can't name one.
Absolutely nothing.
In fact, I issue that same challenge to you right now on the air.
Yeah, no, I can't. I can't think of a thing. I can't think of a thing. He praised himself for trying to unite the Black Lives Matter movement, but we've seen that that's only done more harm than it has good, and that's about as far as it goes. Pastor Darryll Scott, author of the book Nothing to Lose, Unlikely Allies in the Struggle to Make a Better Black America. I appreciate the time, my friend. It's so good to talk to you. It's an honor. We got to get you back on the show again here real soon.
Great. Let's try to do something before the election.
Before the election. I love it, my friend. I appreciate that very much, and God bless you. It's an honor to have you on the show. We got to take a break here on The Voice of Reason. It's a Friday. That's how we kick this off, baby. We got lots to go, lots of things to talk about here on the show. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy. Welcome back into the show. 24 minutes past the hour. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Friday. You got way better things to do on a Friday, but yet you're here with us listening to this crazy guy. We appreciate it. We love you to death. Thanks for hanging out. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, however you do that. We appreciate that more than you know on the website at HooserReason.com. Did you hear the news? Breaking news. This is like, stop all the press. Everybody needs to pay attention to this. Breaking news. Donald Trump coughed. I'm serious. The media's running it. Donald Trump coughed. He was on the Sean Hannity radio show today, and this is what he said.
Well, I didn't even want to use them. You know, last time I had a big problem. They oscillated my mics when I had the one debate. We had 3 debates with Hillary, and on I think the first debate, on the first debate, they oscillated the mic.
All right. Wow. He coughed. Did everybody hear that? Now, that should be enough, according to Nancy Pelosi, to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove President Trump from office because he coughed. Now, he's coming off COVID-19. The doctors have said that he really has been asymptomatic, symptom-free for what? Since like Tuesday, so that's 3 days ago. But he coughed, therefore he's sick, therefore he should not be in office because he's not all there. That cough right there. Now, he did a massive media push today, all over on all these different radio talk shows and all these different interviews. I mean, he was all over the place today, which, again, I love. I absolutely love being a member of the media, which really not. I'm kind of isolated off in the corner here. I mean, we're growing as a national show, but we don't have quite the connections that we do as like a Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity or Mark Levin or somebody. I don't have quite the connections like that yet. One of these days, but not yet. But I love the transparency. As I've said before, everybody on his campaign, everybody in the Republican National Committee, everybody within Trump's administration, if you want to talk to them, even a little guy like little old me has been able to reach out and look at who we just had. The spiritual advisor to President Donald Trump, Pastor Darryll Scott, and thanks, we appreciate for him coming on the program. That was awesome. We've had Corey Lewandowski, his right-hand man. We've had Boris Epstein coming on, an advisor for the Trump campaign. We've had Mark Lauder, the communications director for the Trump campaign. I mean, we've had major names on even this kind of show because they're the most transparent, open group that I've ever seen in my entire life. We've talked about it before, the grassroots campaigning at the national level, which is extremely difficult to do, but they do it. And that's what makes them who they are, and they love it. And Donald Trump did a major push today. He's planning on going back on the campaign trail tomorrow, it sounds like. And yet the Democrats are saying that he's unfit to be in office. I want to talk about that after the break, and I know we covered it a little bit yesterday, but there's new news because Nancy Pelosi has now come out and actually released a plan to create a committee to hear about Donald Trump potentially not being fit to run for being president. Now, it's not going to go anywhere at all, but yet she tries to push it because if it could just shake up the election a little bit, just a little bit, because people might waver, oh my gosh, maybe he's not fit to be president, maybe he's not going to be in health to be a good president, therefore we need to go with Joe Biden because Joe Biden is in way healthier shape, right? Yeah, way healthier shape for Joe Biden. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit after the bottom of the hour. Plus, how many people have already voted? How many people have already voted in the nation? Early voting has begun in many parts of the country. Here in Kansas, it starts next week. So the end of voter registration, I believe, is on Tuesday. Early voting begins on Tuesday or Wednesday. So we have early voting beginning here in this state already. But Democrats way more out pushing Republicans for the early voting. And the pollsters are seeing that and saying that, look, Donald Trump is losing big time. The Democrats are way in the lead already because of the early voting, with all the Democrats going out and either voting by mail or voting in person early already. Democrats got this in the bag. Investors are already choosing Joe Biden as the winner. The markets are starting to adapt. That's the media push. That's the media push. Is it true? Is it right? We'll get to all that here and more on a Friday. Plus, we'll have a little bit of fun because why not? It's a Friday. It's been a heck of a week. We'll cover all this and more here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out today on a Friday. Appreciate it very much. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, doesn't matter. Radio stations all over the place, TV all over the place, live streaming on the website at HooserReason.com. Our podcast numbers are doing well as well, so thank you for that. We appreciate that very, very much. I just realized we're halfway through the show already. This is crazy. Fastest hour of radio. I don't care what other talk shows say. There's one in particular. You know who you are. He always says that he's a good friend, so I can give him a hard time. He always says fastest hour of radio. No. This is the fastest hour of radio here. It's already half through, and we still got so much to get to. We've got so much to get to. Make sure to visit us all over the place. Also, let's see what's trending today. What do you say?
What's trending today?
So, Donald Trump coughed. That was big news. Did you cough today? You ever had that? I've luckily haven't done it too many times on the radio, but with my sinuses, especially with like allergy season, drives me. I've never had allergies. Never, ever had allergies until I came out here to Kansas. Now I have allergies at least twice a year in the fall and the springtime. So I've been battling that here recently, but I'm actually doing relatively well compared. But it's the COVID. It's got to be the COVID. I've been taking the allergy meds, and that's masking my COVID symptoms. Because I won't wear a mask. I just won't do it. But the latest, so President Trump was doing the media rounds today and coughed while he was on an interview.
Well, I didn't even want to use them. You know, last time I had a big problem. They oscillated my mics when I had the one debate. We had 3 debates with Hillary, and on I think the first debate, on the first debate, they oscillated the mic.
There we go. So that audio from the Sun, that was an interview we did with Sean Hannity earlier today. He coughed, therefore everybody's up in arms about it. You could tell, too, you know, it's one of those, you got the frog stuck in your throat, you try to talk and it just doesn't come out. You got to clear the throat and you're good to go. Guess what? Radio guy's worst nightmare. Just throwing it out there. Radio guy's worst nightmare. I've had it done a couple of times. Worst thing ever. Now, because of that, even though he's made videos, and he shows that he's healthy, he's going back on the campaign trail starting tomorrow. He did a massive media round all day today on numerous different shows, and that was the only time that he really actually had any issues. Nancy Pelosi held a press conference today saying that we need to invoke the 25th Amendment, and this is what she had to say today. Hat tip to the Sun for this audio.
Was to set up an independent body to confront such a crisis. Congress has a constitutional duty to lay out the process by which a president's incapacity and the president of any party is determined. This bill honors the duty by creating a standing commission of top former executive officials and medical experts selected in a bipartisan, bicameral way. A president's fitness for office must be determined by science and facts. This legislation applies to future presidents. but we are reminded of the necessity of action by the health of the current president. With this bill, the Congress honors our oath to support and defend the Constitution and protect the American people. And we uphold our responsibility to preserve our republic for generations to come.
All right, smoke and mirrors. That's what it is. Smoke and mirror. Do you honestly believe that going into the election, 3 weeks away from election time, that the House of Representatives and the Senate are going to stop what they're doing and vote on a movement for a 25th Amendment? Removal of the president from office. You got to remember, it takes 2/3 of both chambers in order to make this happen. Do they have the votes? Of course they don't have the votes. They may have a simple majority in the House of Representatives right now. They don't have a majority in the Senate, and you need 2/3 of both chambers in order to make something like this happen. Right now, the House, as you know, 435 members. The Democrats have 232. The Republicans have 197. There's one Libertarian, and there's 5 vacant seats, which I was not aware there were 5 vacant seats. That's a little concerning to me. Nonetheless, 2/3 of the House of Representatives, you would need, 290 votes? The Democrats have 232. It's not even going to pass the House of Representatives. The Senate, we got 53 Republicans, 45 Democrats, and 2 independents. You would need 66, 67, however they break that down for the 2/3, in order for them to vote to remove the president. They don't have it. They know they don't have it at all. This is bogus to even attempt something like this, but you know why they do it? Because it's election season, and nothing that they've thrown at him has worked. And as we said before, that they're desperate because they think they're going to lose now. They know they're going to lose with the support that President Trump has had. They thought that the Russian collusion was going to work for the last 4 years. It didn't. They thought that racism was going to work, and it didn't. They thought that calling him a fascist would work, and it didn't. They thought calling him a sexist would work, and it didn't, because he's been able to counter all of them with actual actions rather than just words, which is why most Americans are starting to realize that, hey, wait a second, politicians have been saying they're going to do stuff for years, and they never do it. Donald Trump, just like we talked with Pastor Darryll Scott earlier in the show, that guess what? Actions speak louder than words, and he underpromised and overperformed. He did more than what the black community ever thought he would do for their communities and the inner cities and the black churches and the Reformation with our justice system. He did more than what they ever imagined, which is why they're starting to lean towards President Donald Trump. Hey, you know what? Nothing to lose. The title of his book, nothing. We've tried to do the same thing over and over and over again, the grind. And now look at that, President Trump doing something a little bit different. Maybe we should give him a chance. And he's polling at like 30, 40% for the black community right now. While we have the media completely disregarding it, they talk about Black Lives Matter, they talk about all this other garbage because it doesn't mean anything. So they tried to throw all this at President Trump. Then the virus hit. Oh, look, Donald Trump, the one thing you were praising, the economy, that's not working anymore. The economy is doing the greatest it's ever been before in its life. The economy, it was the greatest ever. We've been winning and winning and winning. That's true. Then it takes a hit. Guess what, Trump? It's not winning anymore, according to the media, according to the Democrats. Oh, look, you're not handling the virus appropriately, President Donald Trump, because, well, we've tried everything else with name calling with you. Now we'll try to actually, utilize some kind of pandemic for our political gain. Hasn't worked. He gets the virus and goes off the campaign a month before election season. And what happens? Him and 18 of his staff members at the White House, all the top leaders of the campaign, all get COVID, all get quarantined. The campaign essentially stops dead in its tracks a week before the election. And what do you see? You see people out there campaigning themselves, doing their own rallies, doing their own marches, doing their own parades. They recognize the fact that Donald Trump's off the campaign trail. Let's go do it ourselves. You see the boating parades. You see the truck parades. State of Nebraska. We got a lot of listeners up in Nebraska. State of Nebraska. They ended up shutting down the streets in Omaha doing a parade for motorcycles and trucks, and they got cited because they didn't have a permit. Because people just don't care. We want to support Trump. We're going to show our support for Trump. We're going to go out to the hospital where he's at and show our support. And what does he do? Hey, I'm not doing well. I'm still in the hospital. I'm going to get released tomorrow. I'm going to do a drive-by just to wave at them and say thank you. And the Secret Service guy that drove him volunteered because he's like, you know what? That's really kind of important. Now, name someone that would do that for Joe Biden. Name somebody. So none of it's worked. So the last desperate effort is to say he's not doing well, he's mentally incapacitated, he's not able to perform his duties as president of the United States. We need to invoke the 25th Amendment. Now, you can realize that she's lying and that it's not even attempting to go anywhere because she knows she doesn't have the vote, but she realized that instead of just going to Congress as the Speaker of the House and saying we need this bill, we need to vote on it right now to try and move him from office, instead of doing that, what does she do? She creates a panel. She creates a committee. I don't know if you notice or not, that's what politicians like to do. When they actually don't want to do a job, but they want to look like they're doing a job, they create a committee to investigate it. Think about it. Go back and look in both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. Whenever they say, we're going to cure cancer, Joe Biden's campaign from January that he seemed to have forgotten about because of his dementia. There's so many things wrong with that sentence. So many things wrong with that sentence. Anyways, let's just use that for an example. We're going to cure cancer. All right, how are you going to do it? Well, I'm going to create a committee, an investigative committee, so we can research it and we can figure out exactly what we need to do, and they'll do a 10-year study, and then they'll report back to me. But Mr. President, you're not going to be in office at that time. Well, the next president can hold on to it, but that's my promise to you is we're going to solve it by creating that committee. That's what they always do. So now she's created a committee of experts and doctors, probably on the left side of the aisle, that have a liberal bias towards President Donald Trump and have a very fear-mongering mentality over COVID-19. They create this investigation. They're going to do some Q&A with President Donald Trump, and then more than likely they're going to come back and be like, he's fine. He had the virus. So many other people have had the virus. What? 200,000 people died. It's 200,000 people died with other symptoms as well. Only 10,000 people have died without any other symptoms other than just COVID. And most people are walking around the community with people that are probably asymptomatic and have had the virus already without even knowing it. But we're creating this. So if they're smart, they'll come back and be like, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just fine. He's got a little cough. He's still recovering from it. He's probably just worn down a little bit, probably beat up a little bit, probably still not feeling the best, but probably 10 times better than what he was. Yeah, but he took some experimental drugs, is what they're going to say. And we don't know what those cause and effects are going to be. Maybe he's mentally unstable now. Maybe they're going to throw everything out here that they possibly can. And it's all not going to work. It's not going to do anything. Even if this committee comes back and says, you know what? He's mentally not proper. He's mentally not all there. The medicines are playing with him a little bit. He can't think straight. He can't think on his feet quite as much as what he used to be able to do. Just that doesn't mean that he's going crazy or that he's like losing it or anything, but just that he's a little tired, he's fatigued, and he can't think on his feet quite as quickly. They'll say he's incapacitated, he's not able to do it. Boom, they'll turn it over to Congress, and then it's going to be a political thing right to the election. Not to be passed, but just to try and disrupt the system, because that way, if he gets elected again, which they think he will, by the way, then they can come back and say, well, he's not a legitimate president, like they have for the last 4 years. They need to create something to try and discredit him going into election season, because that way, if he gets reelected and when he gets reelected, they can come back and say, oh, look, he's not legitimately a president because he's not qualified, he's not able-bodied, he's not ready, therefore he's in the seat, but he shouldn't be in the seat, and they can discredit everything he does for the next 4 years. That's their goal. It's all just a long-term scheme, and it's sick, isn't it?
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Getting a lot of comments on Facebook Live, YouTube, also on the Podbean. Thanks for all those. We love it. You can also email me, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Question: does the Vice President need to sign off on the transfer of power of the 25th Amendment? Yes. Yes, that's a great question. So, according to the 25th Amendment, they need to write declarations from the officers of the executive departments, meaning Speaker of the House, the Senate Majority Leader, Senate President, which would be the Vice President, by the way, that would take over if that were the case. So there is a lot a lot that needs to go into, actually, a lot of people agreeing that president's not able to actually perform their duties, and therefore we need to sign these declarations and to remove him from office. It's not going to happen. The only person that's pushing this is Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats right now. If there were more Democrats in power, they would be able to do it, but there's not. There's not enough to actually make this happen, especially with the vice president. The vice president would have to be like, yeah, you know what? He's not doing well. Not doing well. So she's creating a committee not only to study Trump, but to study, as she had mentioned in her little audio bit, was that way they're prepared for any other pandemic in the future in case the president gets sick or if there's any other issues, because they're scared. The other concern that President Trump actually tweeted today was that they're using it in case Joe Biden got to be president, and that way they could remove him very easily and make Kamala Harris the president because, well, you know, he's got dementia and he's losing his mind. So there is that as well. So really great question for you now, and then it takes the 2/3 vote from Congress as well to reenact in there or to keep him off. So there's a lot of balance of checks and balances of powers, if I could speak today, and to be able to ensure the president is actually in good standing and be able to perform his duties. So there is that. Now, I was not aware of, and this came just across my desk here a second ago, if I can find it again, is that, oh, here we go. So there is actually a doctor that's going to be, Dr. Mark Siegel with Fox News is going to be doing a one-on-one interview with President Donald Trump tonight, this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern time on the Tucker Carlson show. So that's going to happen to see whether he's actually in good standing and he can give his medical opinion on the air, I guess. I'm assuming it's not going to be live. I'm assuming it's going to be pre-taped and then played at 8 o'clock, but Dr. Mark Siegel from Fox News is going to be interviewing President Donald Trump to check on his medical state. So good for them. It's sad that Fox is actually the only one out there saying, hey, you know what, let's verify to see if he's actually sick or not, instead of the media just saying, oh, he coughed during the Sean Hannity show. He coughed during the Sean Hannity show. He must not be cured yet. He must still be sick, therefore we need to invoke the 25th Amendment. It's absurd. It's absurd, isn't it? Here it is. So Fox News has announced that President Donald Trump will do his first on-air interview since being diagnosed with COVID-19 tonight. The interview will air at 8 p.m. on Tucker Carlson tonight and will be conducted by Dr. Mark Siegel, who will conduct a medical evaluation and interview during the program, according to Fox News. Since being released from Walter Reed Hospital Monday, Trump has done 2 phone interviews. And viewers of Trump's interview with Hannity had heard a raspier voice and pausing to cough or clear his throat a few times. Oh, man. He must be really sick because he coughed and cleared his throat. I'm telling you, I don't think people buy this. I don't think people buy it. They don't really care. That's why people are out with their Trump flags, doing their own parades, doing their own rallies, doing whatever they can to support President Donald Trump day in and day out all over this nation. And all these polls that show that the Democrats are winning, now we see that they're tightening the race in Wisconsin, which is supposed to be a safe haven for Trump. It's not the case in any way, shape, or form. The polls are manipulated. Everybody we've talked to on the show is over-enthusiastic. We talked with Pastor Darryll Scott just a little bit ago. He is completely over-enthusiastic, especially for the black community, that Donald Trump has done so much for, and that he's winning. He's winning. They're seeing what he's done, and they're not going to let that go no matter what the media says or what attention they have on different radical groups with civil unrest, with the Black Lives Matter and these anarchists with Antifa and all these other yahoos. It's not going to work. They can try it, but it's just not going to work. So, you know what? Trump's going to do his thing. Good for him going and doing an interview with a doctor on Fox News tonight. Kudos to Fox News for actually trying to figure out this. And Nancy Pelosi can create whatever panels that she wants. She can create whatever she wants to try and say that he's incapacitated and can't perform his duties. But it's not going to work. Not going to work, Nancy. Don't you realize it? No matter what you throw at him, his voters are not going to buy it because it's garbage and it's lies. 6.6 million Americans have already voted, where they say so far 5% of Democrats and 2% of Republicans have already voted with either early voting or voting in person or mail voting. A couple comments I'm seeing. Most Republicans want to wait till Election Day to make sure that it's not going to be lost or corrupted in some way, shape, or form. You're absolutely right. Most Republicans are not going to. There are some that can't, so therefore they're going to vote by mail or in person early. But regardless, we're going to turn out at the last minute. They can have their nice, cute little lead at the beginning and then watch us turn this red wave into an ocean tsunami tidal wave at the end of it. Podcast going up a little bit. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. Back at it next week. We got a laundry list of guests coming up next week. Until then, everybody have a wonderful weekend. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.